Joining me today is a brother. A lot of you all may know him already, Brother James. Thank you so much for being here, brother. How are you?
I'm excellent by the grace of God. And I want to thank you, brother. It is truly a pleasure to come on your platform and to share some kind words with God's children. I know that He is with us, and I know that He's going to bless both of us, and we're being richly blessed to move forward and also to reach His children as a mission that I have taken on. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I will stay in context. But I do want to share with you that I do believe that the best of us will be servants. And by being a servant, we love God's children, and we don't need to have anyone tell us if we could talk about God. We could talk about God whenever we choose to. So thank you, brother, for inviting me, and it is my deep honor, privilege, and joy to be with you today.
I received that. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Brother James Gordan, and I'm just calling Brother James out of respect and love for this man. Brother James Gordan brings more than 18 years of leadership experience at the intersection of healthcare, technology, and education. Long before AI became a household term, James was working with advanced clinical systems, training surgeons, physicians, nurses, and healthcare leaders to leverage technology for better patient care. As an epic EHR principal trainer, he has trained thousands of professionals across major healthcare organizations, including Kaiser Permanente, Cedars-Sinai, UCLA Health. We also have Stanford University. His expertise in data management, workflow automation, and decision support laid the foundation for his current work in artificial intelligence education. Recognizing the growing need for practical and ethical AI training, James founded AI Academy, where he helps individuals and organizations understand and apply AI in real-world settings. Guided by a passion for service, education, and innovation, James is committed to preparing future generations for a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence. Beyond his professional accomplishments, James is a devoted husband of 35 years to his beautiful wife, Rosita, a proud father of 4, and grandfather to, watch this, 10 grandchildren who continue to inspire his purpose and legacy. I love it, brother. Please join me in welcoming my friend, my brother, James Gordan. Welcome to the Uncaged Potential podcast.
Thank you so much, brother. As you was reading that, I didn't know if you was talking about me or somebody else. It seemed so, esteemed, or it seemed so, I love the way you stated that. I think that, when I think of my little dedicated, devoted wife, I just think that I was truly blessed. I was at a rough time coming off of football, being at Western Michigan University, and just needed someone who was right. And I needed someone, and I prayed to God. I said, if you could just send me one more person. Because I had messed up. When I tell you, brother, I'm not going to get into that because that'll change our story. But I had messed up big time. I had someone good. And, as a football player, as a young man, you tend to think so much of yourself. And you tend to put yourself in bad situations when it comes to a significant other. And I blew it. And I felt bad about it. And I just asked the Lord, I said, God, if you could just give me one more person, I will be truthful, and I would treat that person with respect. And lo and behold, Brother Dunslow, she was praying for the same thing.
Wow.
And here we are 36 years later, 35 years married, but 36 years later. And
you might as well say 36, brother.
36 years. And so here we are with 10 grandchildren and just very, very just happy. So once again, I thank you for allowing me to be here on your platform. As I stated earlier, it is my distinct honor, privilege, and joy to share this afternoon with you to talk about some of the good things that could help God's children.
For sure. And might I add, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Amen and obtains favor, man. So, my goodness, 36 years. That's That's 36 years of favor and love, and I know a lot of us aspire to see that in our marriages. Myself, I've been married for 14 years,
Good for you.
and thank you, and it's a beautiful, beautiful queen, and I'm so thankful for her. Shout out to my wife, my boo, Alicia.
Yes. And shout outs as
All
well
right,
to my boo.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, brother. So my first question for you, my first main question is before AI Academy, because we're definitely gonna chop that up. We're gonna talk about your AI Academy that you have created for the people. But before healthcare IT, who was the young James Gordan? And what experiences shaped your passion for service and education?
That's an excellent question. Let's take it as you ask. The young James Gordan was very caring, always been caring about God's children. Before I knew what it really was about, I could take you to a story when I was in the fifth grade. A gentleman came to our school, and I had a big old natural at that time. And this gentleman, he was suffering from an illness, and he's my friend to this day. And he came, and he was not popular. This is in the 70s where kids had big naturals, and he had cancer, and he had veins, green veins all in his head. And I just remember leaving my lunch table where everybody was at because I was popular.
Yeah.
And I went over to him because he was sitting by himself. So that kind of caring spirit didn't change. And when I think of that time, it's just a beautiful thing because it was innately put in me by our Creator, by our Heavenly Father. Now, when I say that, I mean it in terms of if you call him Allah, if you call him Jesus, if you call him whatever, I personally believe for myself, I know what I believe in, and I confess Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior as well. But I studied everything. And so a young James Gordan was caring about God's children, and I had people who prayed with me as a young boy. And I can remember a white sister. She was quite older, looked like a pilgrim type of lady who lived in this large apartment complex, which is considered projects, where I lived at. And she told us she would give us cookies and some warm chocolate milk if we come and sit in there with her while she quoted some scripture to us. And I think that shaped me as a person. I think it helped me to see outside of myself, because at that time I was a bad little dude. I was stealing. I was doing everything I could to get a step ahead, stealing now and laters and Snickers and everything I can. And she instilled in me a couple of things, and I really didn't know her. She just lived in a black community, and she just brought black kids into her house. And so I think about that time, and I think about how I progressed on. I was a football player. My brother won a Heisman Trophy. My brother's name is Charles White. A 1979 Heisman Trophy winner at USC, probably still considered in the top 5 as far as rushing yards. When he left college, he was number 2 next to Tony Dorsett in terms of football history as a tailback in terms of yards. So I was truly motivated by him. I mean, it was like he was truly my hero. To be able to say that I had a brother that was on TV, played for USC, and I could recall them playing Alabama in different schools. And I could recall even going to games, but I was truly shaped with football. Football meant everything, because the area that I came from ended up being in Los Angeles, but really San Fernando Valley. And we don't say Los Angeles where I'm from. I was from Pacoima, and everybody is proud to be from Pacoima. We don't claim Los Angeles. We don't claim no other city but Pacoima. And it was really gang ridden. It was shout out to Pacoima. It was a lot of gang violence. Not so much when I was young like that, when I was 8 and 10 and 11 and 12, more so when I was 16, 17, 18, the gang violence started coming. And for me, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I just didn't understand how you could harm someone for no reason at all, or how a couple of my good friends end up beating someone up who was at a bus stop who was a different wore a different rag than them, but was the same color. I never understood it, and I think sports allowed me to see through the difference between being a decent young man, and not that they're not, but just someone who was led astray and got
Okay.
in trouble. I didn't get in trouble. I'd never been arrested, never been put in handcuffs, and I have to say, I think it was because of sports and just that drive to want to leave the neighborhood and make my mother, Hattie Mae Leggett White, proud. My mother is from deep south, Mississippi. Mississippi, as I would say, Mississippi. She's from Mississippi. And in Mississippi, she grew up in the segregated South. I mean, just to where you couldn't drink from a certain fountain. She picked cotton and didn't have the education, that mighty, mighty fine education that maybe some would have today. But we knew what she was talking about. We knew she loved us. And so I always wanted to make her proud. And I wanted to make sure as long as my name lived, her name would be remembered also. And so coming from a
Absolutely.
big family of 11 children with different fathers, I was raised by a stepfather, but he was the only father I knew. And he
Yeah.
was just the best of the best in terms of men, and may he sleep well with the Lord. He was just a person who didn't discriminate against me and one of my younger brothers with his natural children. It was like he treated me as his own, and not treated me. He was my father,
Yeah.
and he was very wasn't strict at all. I was the kind of kid that if I wanted to, I could stay out 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Nobody would say too much. I mean, my mother wasn't going to ride me on it.
Right.
And I lived in a large apartment complex, so there was a lot to get involved in. And I
I hear
did get
you.
involved in a lot of things, but gang banging and stuff like that, I did not. And coming from Los Angeles, that was something that was really important. So with that, I yield. I don't know if I answered the third part of your question, but I think I covered quite a bit of information.
You did. You did. And this is a good pivot point. So obviously you've encountered different things in your life. You talked about your neighborhood. You talked about the different experiences you had with your parents. Obviously you came from a loving background, a house full of siblings. But obviously there was, talking about pivots, there was obviously a pivot point for you, right? So my question to you is, when was that defining moment in your life when you realized that your purpose was bigger than your surroundings, or your purpose was bigger than the kind of work that you were doing?
Another great question. It happened early. It happened early. As a child, I knew I was different. And the reason I say that is because of my compassion for my fellow brothers. I
Yeah.
was that child that could see both sides of the coin. I was that child that could step outside of himself and
Yeah.
could see the other side. I was
Yes.
not, I was more objective than subjective. As a child, I settled differences between older people because I had a certain knowledge of just understanding what this person was saying and what that person was saying. But I would have to say a pivot moment for me was when I was probably in college and I lost a person who was very important to me. And I shared a little bit of the story, and this is not about that person, it's more about me. When I lost that person, I had no one to turn to but my Lord and Savior, or God, as you would say. And I called on God. I said, I'm in bad shape. Here's your
Yeah.
brother here, Brother James.
Right.
I'm in bad shape. I need
Right.
your help. I mean, if there ever was a time, I mean, football wasn't going good. I was competing for a starting position. I broke my wrist. And after I broke my wrist, it was like, I really didn't care that much about football any longer after thinking that I was going to go all the way to the pros like my older brother did. And so that pivot moment was I had to find myself, and I couldn't rely on anything that my mother said. I couldn't rely on anything that someone else said. I had to know God for myself. I
Absolutely.
always knew God, but I didn't know how to call on him the right way. And
Yeah.
I was so hurt in my soul that it allowed me to call on him, and I was very sincere. It wasn't one of those things where you called on him and you had to cry out and tears was flowing. It was just more like I knew that I was in bad shape. And when I
Yeah.
say bad shape, I mean just devastated. Football wasn't going right, and so that was a true pivot for me. And with that pivot, it allowed me to see things clear.
Yeah.
It allowed me to move from a dark area to light. And so that was a real pivot for me. And I was probably about 20, 21 years old at that point.
Wow. It's funny, not funny, but it's interesting how we go through certain things in life. And, when things get really hard, we default to what we're taught. And what we're taught helps, but only takes us so far. Sometimes, we remember what mom told us, or remember what our dad or our old, our elementary school teacher taught us. But certain things in life requires you to have to go through it alone at times. But you almost gotta learn in the moment that it's happening. You have to relearn certain situations, or certain things that were taught to you has to be upgraded for that particular situation. The next thing I want to quickly transition to, on the Uncaged Potential podcast, we often talk about overcoming limitations, right? Whether it be limiting beliefs or whatever the case may be. My question to you is, in everything that you've gone through in your life, what limiting belief or fear did you have to break in order for you to become the leader, the individual that you are today?
So, information technology, I knew nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
If I date back maybe 19 years ago, didn't know a thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a need for computers, or let's say desktop computers, in my neighborhood. Most people didn't have it. As a matter of fact, brother, I didn't have one in my home. And so I wanted to sell computers because I saw a need in the neighborhood and I wanted to supply that need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, that led me to a place called Kaiser Permanente, a very large healthcare organization.
In California, if I'm
in
not
California,
mistaken.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I opened a computer store first. And at that time, I was known as a DVD king. I sold DVDs to everybody. But I mean, DVDs is the bootleg DVDs. It became the number one. It became the number one product in my store. I had 3 employees in the store, but that was our number one product. But then it got old, and Redbox came along. Everybody started burning DVDs themselves, and I found myself on the outside looking in, where I needed to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
And I had a friend tell me about this position at Kaiser Permanente, so I had great fear of information technology. As a matter of fact, brother, I didn't even know how to add an attachment at that time. One of my wife's cousins helped me fill out the application at Kaiser for this IT position as a trainer. And I remember I didn't know how to add the attachment. And she said, "You're applying for information technology and you don't know how to add an attachment?" So can you imagine the fear that I had when I finally got to Kaiser and I had to go through the 6 weeks of training to become a trainer? I didn't know that stuff. And so it was true fear as far as I was concerned. But I also knew that there was a God who sits on high and he looks down low. And I was one of his children. And I knew he loved me extraordinarily so. And I knew that if I could open my mind up and I could just focus, I could learn. I knew that. And I knew that he would help me learn, because they say, that if you take 1 step towards him, he'll take 2 towards you.
Yes, sir.
And so with that kind of upbringing, or just thinking, it allowed me to conquer the fear and to focus on what those trainers was trying to teach us. I still remember their names. I won't call them, but they was like keeping us for 8 hours, and they was teaching you Big Bang. In other words, everything. They was teaching you cadence. If you don't know what cadence is, for the audience, the scheduling piece of how to schedule a patient. They taught us inpatient, and the inpatient piece was just so broad and so big to me at that time. It was like, what is this thing called care plans? What is flow sheets? How do I patient station and all this other stuff? And I'm speaking some terms that most might not know, but he knows what I'm talking about.
Yep, I sure
and
do.
So I remember on the first exam I didn't pass, and one of the criterias at that time was you had to pass with a certain percentage to keep going on. And I just remember, as a young man, I said, well, I'm going to do what I have to do to get past this.
Yes, sir.
So I just talked all about God, but I'm just gonna give you a little piece of it. I start taking
Uh-huh.
pictures of the exam and different things
Yeah.
to get past it, so
Yeah.
I can study it even uh, outside of this classroom setting. And
Hmm.
that's what I did, and it helped me.
That's good.
And it's not that I'm proud of it, but I can't say I'm not proud. I mean, because it led me to where I'm at. And I also believe that we have a good God, and I believe that He knows me. And if I was flying a little lower than the angels at a particular time, then He knew that about me as well. And
Right.
I try to do the best I can. And,
Absolutely.
and and so with that being said, I think when I overconquered that fear, I knew the sky was the limit because I saw the potential of Epic. And Epic, as our brother told you
Hmm.
in the introduction, is really the number one software, in my humble opinion, of the
Oh,
electronic health
absolutely.
record in all of the
Yep.
world. And so we actually participated, when I say with me and this brother, we actually participated in workflows that at that time it wasn't called AI because they didn't call it AI, but we was really doing AI even at that
Hmm.
time. And with that, I yield.
I'm glad that you ended the topic on AI. And this is a good segue to the AI segment of this episode. So many people, talk about AI this, AI that. It's the biggest buzzword since the internet, in my opinion, right? But it's more than a buzzword. And for most people, in my experience and what I'm witnessing in my research, for most people, they look at AI as something that's just going to be a wave that just comes and then goes. It's here today, gone tomorrow. But most people also don't know that AI has already replaced a lot of different jobs. AI has not just replaced, but has. It's not even about replacing. It's about making things more efficient. So if that means that the mom and pop shops and this particular job doesn't need to use 50 or 100 people because AI is doing it, not just with less amount of people, but more quicker, then you're saving money, you're saving time. So my question to you is, again, with many people thinking that AI appeared overnight, but you've been working with AI, what are you seeing back then that most people aren't paying attention to today?
AI, number one, is here to stay.
Mm.
And it's not going to be, um, it's going to keep evolving. You're not going to master it. You need
Mm.
to find your niche. You need to find an area of AI where you could also make, let's say, or earn income in a digital society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. AI has been around since 1956. It was created by a gentleman by the name of, if I'm not mistaken, John Loring, him and a
Mm.
few of his colleagues, scientist type people. And so they just didn't call it AI. So can you imagine all the benefits that they may have had that we didn't have since 1956 moving forward? That's a whole nother subject. I'm not going to talk about that.
Mm.
I will share with you that what I'm seeing in AI today is, and I'm going to say it this way, when we think about the .com and how that industry fell, and the venture capitalists came in, and if you just had a .com company in the mid 90s or early 2000s, they offered you millions of dollars just for having the concept of it all. I could
Mm.
think about an owner for the Dallas Mavericks by the name of Mark Cuban. I will call his
Mark
name.
Cuban.
He had a radio show, I think a .com type radio show, and he ended up selling his show for, I think, a few hundred million or a couple hundred million, and he ended up purchasing the Dallas Mavericks. People who look like me didn't get that opportunity. They didn't get a chance to get that generational wealth. So one of the things that I thought about when I created the AI Academy was people who look like me, along with others as well. And I said to myself, I want to create something and I want to provide access to AI because we always come to the party late. Um, I think back when I was in high school, I just couldn't get to a party if it was at 9 p.m. I
Right.
had to get there at 10:30 when it was already jamming. It was already,
Right.
everybody was already partying, doing what they was doing. And it was by
Mm-hmm.
choice. And we
Mm-hmm.
just have that in us to some degree to where we arrive late at certain things. And this is not one of those times.
Yeah.
AI is moving. I would link it to, I mentioned my mother picking cotton, my dad picked cotton as well. It came a point in time where a machine replaced the humans for picking cotton, and it picked cotton 10 times faster than a human. I could think back to one of my uncles. He always had cassette tapes, or let's say 8-track tapes, the big red one with Al Green on it that you used to put in the radio. It came a point in time where when I got to junior high school, or middle school as some will call it, they had cassette tapes. It was no longer 8-track tapes. When I left college, you start seeing different things like CDs, not cassette tapes any longer. Or a period of time after I left college, I would say quite a few years after. I remember going to a place called Blockbuster Video to rent movies, to see movies that was at the theaters maybe 2 months after it had came out, and they had VHS and beta. And what happened was that the DVD replaced VHS and beta, and Blockbuster Video went out, or the local video stores that was around the corner from your house.
This is way before Netflix, by the way.
Exactly. I
Way
only
before.
cite that to state to you, embrace the technology.
Yeah.
Don't run from it. Embrace it. When I say embrace it, learn what you can, but be very careful, because there's a big move everywhere you turn. You see, learn AI, the 28-day challenge, some kind of seminar. You could be an AI engineer, and you could be this. I'm going to tell you straight out, that's a money grab.
Yeah.
It's a money grab. So be careful, because if someone is just teaching you or saying to you, and I don't care if it's a major university that got that mighty, mighty fine title behind them, if they're just telling you to learn AI, you will be just as lost after you learn it, because you don't know where to apply it. You don't know where to make it from a theoretical perspective to a practical perspective. So what I did is I had to ask myself, do I want the shovel, or do I want a Home Depot?
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
So when I studied those companies that were still around after the .com fell, you know, your Google, your Facebook, or your Amazon or eBay, they didn't just have the shovel, they had the Home Depot. And that concept of it all, brother, was this: have different layers of what you do. In other words, I have an ecosystem. I actually have infrastructure for countries, and I know you might touch on this as we proceed on, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'll touch on it briefly. And I don't say that from a bragging perspective. I just knew that if I wanted to Home Depot, I need to add other layers to what I consider a money grab that is taking place with AI. So I added a second layer to learning the fundamentals, how to generate income in a digital society, and how to get a job as well. When I say get a job, it wasn't like you was going to come out of my academy and you was going to have a job waiting on you. What it was to say was, I'm going to show you different areas that you could create a niche, where you could create whatever type of AI tools that's out there to make money with. It was from that aspect. And so the main thing I want our audience and God's children to understand is, embrace the technology, because it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And it just depends on how you look at it. You know, you could look at it like this. If you was from a state that have snow, I went to school in Michigan, a lot of snow. Think of it this way. If you were shoveling out the snow, AI would be a bulldozer. And with that, I yield.
I'm going to ask you a series of, first and foremost, thank you for all of that. You know, I know my audience, the audience are just picking up and gleaning from what you're saying. But for me personally, as an individual, as a consumer, as well as a fellow AI enthusiast, I'm definitely gleaning from what you're saying. I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to shoot out some rapid fire questions. And I'm going to ask that you just simply, you know, just address them as they come out so that we can tackle, right? Because I definitely want to get into your AI Academy. I want the people to know more about that and some of the things that you're doing in the near future. So, we're still on the topic of AI. For those who are coming in, those who are kind of paying attention, those who are not fully here, my ask is that you stop what you're doing and just really hone in on what we're about to get into right now. This is that second layer that I always talk about in the podcast. We're peeling the onion, we're getting deeper and deeper down to the core. And I need you to lean in. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about artificial intelligence?
Misconception will be that it's taking all of the jobs. It's creating many other jobs. You touched on it. You stated how if you had the mom and pop shop, it might take away that mom and pop shop, but think about the fact that that mom and pop, if they look for the opportunity with AI,
Yeah.
they could take something out of that mom and pop shop and own it, and they could integrate with AI, and they might open up
Mhm.
a whole nother type of business. So that will be my answer to that question.
Mm. Are people right to be excited about AI, afraid of it, or maybe a little bit combination of the both?
Combination of both, because let's take it backwards first. Afraid of it because you don't know what it consists of in terms of where the future's going with it. Because
Hmm.
you have machine learning, you could do things now that you was not able to do just 2 years ago. In other words, that machine, that robot, as you might call it, which I label it as machine learning, is
Hmm.
kicking our butt. We can't think that fast. It's no
No,
possible way
not even on
as
my
a
best
human.
day.
Oh, you could put my mind, your mind, and probably 100 other people, and we're not going to spit out this information that fast as
My
it
goodness.
would. So,
Yeah.
from that perspective, it's both, but it's also a very exciting time as well because of the opportunities that it creates. I mean, there's some data out there that say it's going to make more millionaires in a shorter amount of time than any other time in history. Think about that. So it just depends on where you allow your mind to sit at. If you sit by the devil's fire, you'll get burned.
Mm.
So if you think of it and you don't embrace it and you only have the fear aspect of it,
Yes.
then you point blank, hands down, straight out, as I would say in my neighborhood, get involved in it. Understand your side of it and where you could fit to generate income in this type of society. And with that, I yield.
Mm. Okay. If you had actually, let me do this one first. How do you explain AI to someone who feels intimidated by technology? So let's take an older individual, someone who still struggles with double clicking. How do you explain that? How do you explain that to them?
So I would tell them first off, think of anything that have come from the past, anything that have turned old and you have moved on from it. Like a pair of shoes. Like for example, when I was little, I wore crocus sacks. I wore something that was called crayons. I wore
Hmm.
other shoes tennis shoes that if I put those shoes on today, it would look like I would look like a fool. I wore jeans that was Jordache and Sergio Valente's, uh,
Hmm.
and I wore certain things. But as time evolved, I evolved with time. I will tell the older person, take your time, embrace it. You don't
Yes.
have to try and learn it all immediately. We all have um, different traits in terms of what God gave us that will allow us to think different. In other words, you and
Hmm.
I both have trained providers. We have trained
Hmm.
surgeons. These group of people is considered the top 3% of the most intelligent people in the world, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So that person might be on a science level. This
Hmm.
other person might be on another level. So that older person, and I don't say older, I say elderly or something
Hmm.
different. The elderly person who's intimidated by it, just step in where you can, get in where you can, and build on your knowledge with AI. In other words, don't be intimidated to the point to where you stay away from it because this is the direction that it's going. Okay. And so just embrace it, and I talked about picking cotton, and it was a machine that came that replaced the cotton. I talked about cassette tapes. I talked about Blockbuster Video before Netflix and different things. Embrace the technology. Don't run from it. Embrace it and face it straight ahead. And fear or anxiety come from fear, and you don't have to fear it because nobody's going to get hurt. In other words,
No.
nobody's getting shot.
Right.
Nobody is getting beat up.
Hmm.
You don't have to go to the hospital. Just start where you can and get in where you fit in. And with that, I yield.
How do we embrace technology or technological advancements without losing the human element? And that question, before I said it, I laughed because, you know, when we think about AI, the first thing that oftentimes comes to mind is the movie Terminator, right? Or The Matrix. Right. Let's be real. There's
Gemini
somebody
man.
with, yeah, yeah, right. Exactly. There's, some people with tinfoil cat hats that are saying, they're coming for us, and, and we're letting the back door open for them. So my question to you is, we're encouraging that understanding that AI is safe, or rather, it's important or imperative for us to opt into. But how, for those who are opting into it, those who are embracing technology or technological advancements, is there a concern that we're also losing or potentially can lose our humanity by doing so?
Great question. I have been asked this question many times. In my humble
Mhm.
opinion, I don't believe we lose our humanity because you still need the human aspect of telling that machine exactly what to do. For example, if you go to Chat GPT or
Mhm.
any other chat box, or let's say Gemini or Perplexity or whatever it might be, what you're going to find is that that machine could answer the question that you ask, but it
Mhm.
needs the human side
Yes.
to answer that question. Now, I honestly believe they're trying to perfect AI to where it predicts the future, and I'm
Mhm.
crazy enough to believe that they already have this type of technology out there.
I have no
But
doubt.
I will state to you that will it replace humans? Will it take away humanity? In my humble opinion, no. I just feel like if you sit on the sideline on this one,
Mhm.
you could possibly put yourself in a position to where you're irrelevant. In other words, because this technology is not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to sweep across this world as we know it. And if it's not regulated to a certain degree, um, that machine is really, really powerful. And when I say powerful, what I mean by that is we just can't think that fast. We can't think. Uh, it's like light years away from where we're at. I don't know if you remember a show growing up called The Jetsons, a
Absolutely.
TV show, a cartoon. There's flying cars and it seemed advanced. You mentioned Terminator. I was in high school when Terminator came out, and I just loved the movie. It was like a future type of movie. They have had many of those movies since then, and I would honestly say to you that I think they was using AI at that point when they created those movies. We just didn't call it AI, and someone
Interesting
knew
comment.
something that we didn't know. And so
Yeah.
with that, I yield.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. You said something just now, and you said it a few times earlier, the fear becoming, well, not so much the fear, but the potential of one becoming obsolete if they do not invest time, resources, and interest into AI. What does that look like for an individual who does not, who just says, you know what, James, I hear what you're saying. You're really knowledgeable. I love your suit. You seem like a good guy, but this AI thing, I don't care what you say. This is the devil. What do you say to? What does that look like for that individual that says, you know, um, this? I don't care what you're saying. I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do.
I have a good friend who have called AI the devil. I have a good friend who, and this is a friend over 54 years.
Wow.
He tells me that it's taking the water because they need all these servers, and he's trying to prove to me that it's taking the water. It's the devil. They're trying to play God. They're gonna try and show you heaven right here on earth, and all these different things.
Hmm.
For someone who's adamant that they're not gonna touch it, and they're adamant that they don't want nothing to do with it, that is your choice.
Right.
I
Right.
believe it's the wrong choice, and I will
Hmm.
reason with you. I will contend with you that not plead with you. It's not my assignment to convince. My assignment is
Hmm.
to drop it. I have
Yeah.
never been a person who tried to convince someone of my way of thinking. but I will ask them to think outside of the box. And if they can't get there by thinking outside of the box and saying to themselves, this is something I want to embrace, I don't chase it down. I can't chase it down and chase you down with that kind of thought. But I will tell you that you're really doing yourself a disservice if you take that approach. Embrace the technology because it's here and it's
Hmm.
changing our world as we speak. There's information technology people being replaced by AI. There was someone up at Silicon Valley, and they had them teach AI to certain people, then let go 1,000 of them after they taught it to upper staff or, let's say, leadership. So there's some tricky stuff going on as well. I understand that side of it, but I will
Hmm.
tell that person who just say, I don't care what you're saying, young man. I'm not that young, but I don't care what you're saying, brother James. Um, um, I'm not touching it. I would
Hmm.
beg to differ, and I would try to show you different avenues that you could start with. It's like, how do you know that this is going to work for you? How do you know if something is good for you? Sometimes it's trial by error,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
get there. Like for me, the type of learner I am, and I know you would appreciate this. When I went to Epic to be certified, they talked about 4 different styles of learning
Hmm.
and identify your style of learning, and that way you'll be very effective in the classroom because you're outside of what you normally would do. And I could just give you a couple of styles. One of them would be self-expressed learner, interpersonal learner, mastery learner. Mastery learner, maybe that student who, when they was in the 5th grade, they could sit over there by themselves. Teacher could say what they need to say, and they just got it. I mean, it was like they just picked it up immediately. See, I
Hmm.
was an interpersonal learner. I need to sit with you, brother, and we need to talk about it in study
Yes.
hall or whatever we're doing. Or if
Same
you're
way.
my friend, I'm talking to you and I'm saying, did they say it this way? How did they? And you say, yeah, I think they said it that way. And that's how I learn. And then you
Right.
have self-expressed learners, and I'm not getting all into that. But my point is that you just have to find a way to embrace it. And if you're stuck on it's the devil, you're gonna find yourself in a society where money is not coming the same way it used to come. They don't need you. And if you can't at least get to some of the basics of AI, and I don't mean the fundamentals as in just learn AI. I'm more concerned with learning how to generate income in a digital society, whether that's with AI, you might not even know it's AI, but
Hmm.
just if you could take what I'm saying, individual who think it's the devil or think it's ruining our world, find a way to create residual income from a digital perspective. If you could pick that up, you'll be embracing AI. With that, I yield.
I want to take this time to transition into talking more about your AI Academy. You know, obviously, you've given us a wealth of information about the AI world, the importance of learning and investing into it. But at this time, I want the audience to be able to understand what you have cultivated over the years with through your AI Academy.
So, AI Academy, I light up because I didn't have an epiphany to do AI. I saw the change coming in healthcare where they took me from being an instructor led trainer that I loved. I loved being in front of people because my personality is able to shine at that moment. Give me 1 second, just 1 second. Someone is really
Absolutely.
knocking on my.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it. Because this is a recording, I can always edit this out. It's all good.
It's all good. So, when I think
Yeah.
about the AI Academy,
Hmm.
one of the things that I didn't have was an epiphany to do AI. I was instructor-led trainer for over 18 years at Kaiser Permanente. Oh, about in our 15th year, I realized that they didn't need as many trainers.
Hmm.
I started to realize the shift. I was a consultant going all over the country, getting a chance to travel, getting a chance to get some of my, um, uh, uh, what do they call it, when you get older and your bucket list, things out of the way. I
Hmm.
had some cities that I wanted to see, like Atlanta and like
Hmm.
Miami and different places. And I got a chance to go to some of these cities just based on my career. So when they took instructor led trainer and start making everything from a either a webcast or a webinar or let's say virtual training, bells went off in my head. I start to say, okay, they're not going to need it as many of us. Now I have seniority and I'm in a position to where, I would probably make the cut, I would say, if they did let someone go, with just me being a trainer that and I love being a trainer. I
Mm-hmm.
chose that over a builder. People thought I was crazy. When I say builder audience, what I mean is I could have been an analyst where I built the application and I sat behind
Yes.
a cubicle and the doctor will tell us what they need and we'll build it. I chose to be a trainer because not only did it bring me to the dance, I was a go live support person. Not only did it bring me to the dance, it was in tune with my personality. I got a chance to be up front and show some of my personality. And I always felt that if I could play a role in helping someone else, I will be that much better because of it, because I honestly believe that I owe a debt to the community in which I live in.
Mm-hmm.
And one debt that you owe is to be active and to be out helping others outside of yourself. It's not about you, it's about others. So, with
For
that
sure.
being said, the AI Academy started off as just the individual person, and I'll wrap this up in the next couple minutes. The individual person who will sign up for the course and they will sign up to learn the fundamentals of AI. It
Mm-hmm.
gradually progressed to not only will you learn the fundamentals, you will learn how to generate income in a digital society. It progressed
Mm-hmm.
again in a short time to we're going to also help you get a job in AI because we're going to show you different avenues that you could go. What happened was a good friend of mine who I love dearly, he was building what is called like an IMG Sports Academy in Ghana. And he found out that I was involved in AI, so he wanted to use my curriculum with AI for his sports
Mm-hmm.
academy that wasn't built yet, that's in the process of brick and mortar being built.
Mm-hmm.
When he took this to his team in Ghana, they liked my platform. So one of the things that they did is they said, well, okay, we want you to set up AI cafes all throughout Ghana. That morphed into not only do we want you to do that, why don't you take a look at this institution called Nova Executive Business School, or let's say University Education Winby, or let's say Kwame Nkrumah University or Ghana University. Do you think that your platform can support curriculum from a university? What they didn't understand was when I set up my platform for the AI Academy, I also set up an ecosystem that had healthcare. So I had education with the AI Academy. I had
Wonderful.
healthcare because I was in healthcare for over 18 years, the
Yes.
electronic health record. And then I also set up emergency response. And the last layer of my ecosystem was business productivity, optimization, and analytics. With that kind of infrastructure, not only can I support one individual, but I can support a whole government and I can help them solve some of their issues in
Right.
terms of jobs. So,
Yeah.
one of the great things about Ghana and what we did with Ghana was we could bring someone through the entry piece, which would be the AI Academy.
Mm-hmm.
After they leave the AI Academy, because of the government sponsored funding, because of the corporate funding or the private funding, we could have an actual internship waiting on them when they get to the next layer, whether it was healthcare, and you know how broad that is. I mean, electronic health record, it could be a nursing school, it could be this, it could be a home
Right.
care business.
Right.
Then when you think emergency response, it could be insurance, it could be attorneys, it could be this. And then when you think business productivity and work automation, that allows someone to come through my infrastructure and they have avenues that, depending on their government sponsorship,
Mm-hmm.
depending on their corporate sponsorship or individual sponsorships, they could have internship jobs waiting on them. So we teach our
Wow.
brothers over there how to train it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where you and I are going to talk. We got some good things to talk about outside of this because I know how
Okay.
great a trainer you are. I know that you could build as well. But I told you I was waiting on some ink to dry.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with governments, it's not what you and I are used to. We're project manager type people. In other words, we know that on the 13th, this was the deadline. It's the 13th. We know
Mm-hmm.
that the next assignment that we have to go live, that's on the 10th of
Mm-hmm.
August or whatever it is. So we understand that. What
For
I
sure.
found was that when you deal with governments and you deal with institutions, you have many different stakeholders and you have many different elements that's moving and they all have to come together before they can move forward with the ultimate plan. And so it's not what I'm used to. So that's somewhat challenging to me. But at the
For
same
sure.
time, everything is at God's speed. So
Absolutely.
when I think of the AI Academy, it has morphed into the AI platform. I got everything, brother, under one umbrella. I got the education under one umbrella. I got the healthcare under one umbrella. I got actually the alert, or let's say emergency response, under one umbrella, and the business productivity. And it's all under the AI Academy platform. I didn't drop the name AI Academy. Some people told me to drop AI Academy because it sounded more like a school, but
Right.
it incorporates what I'm doing. And so
Hmm.
that kind of ecosystem at this point is unmatched. Now, where do I go from here? The sky's the limit. It's my legacy to give this to my grandchildren. It's my legacy
Yes.
to create an exit plan in, let's say, the next 5 years, maybe.
Hmm.
Now, whether I would really exit, I don't know. But I do know that I have a scalable business to where if you came on board, I will still be the engine of that car. And
Hmm.
that was very important to me to keep it that way because it's my infrastructure that keeps me as the engine. In other words, if you think Microsoft as an example, they lease their software out to everyone and put it out there,
Absolutely.
but they are the engine. I'll give you a better one. I'll let it go after this. When you think about Best Buy or any electronics store, you're gonna see
Hmm.
computers with Hewlett Packard on it, Dell on it, right? But I want you to
Hmm.
look at your computer right now, right on the left of it or right on the right, you're gonna see something called Intel.
Yes.
Intel don't care about Hewlett Packard being out front. Go
Oh.
ahead and be out front at Best Buy, Hewlett Packard. Be out front at Fry's Electronics or whatever store you want to. But we
Hmm.
are the engine that you're sitting on top of. And
That's
that's
right.
the way I would describe the AI Academy platform. Interesting,
Man,
exciting,
to say
exciting,
the
interesting.
man.
Um, my mind raced so much, brother. I can't even. I'm up at 2 in the morning thinking of other things I could do, and I'm staying in
Yeah.
focus with
Yeah.
the true concept of what was created in the vision because it's easy to get sidetracked and take on more. I narrowed it down to that because I knew
Hmm.
that I could actually deliver what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and my platform can support governments, it can support institutions, it can support corporate, and it can support the individual and also the private sector as well. So with that being said, the sky is truly the limit for
Yes.
me at this stage, and I'm
Mm.
in the process of setting up uh, other um, other opportunities and contracts, like for example, Belize.
Yes.
I have a champion there who is right next to the prime minister there, and we're
Beautiful.
setting it up. It's just you got to wait for things to dry. Also,
Hmm.
South Africa, and I had a beautiful conversation with the team, the delegation from Nigeria as well. So the sky's the limit, and ultimately I will scale. If you don't know what scale is, speaking to the audience, that's where we get in. Let's say with I mentioned Ghana, okay,
Hmm.
and then Ghana go over to let's say Tanzania, and
Hmm.
Tanzania go over to Kenya. All of it is still using my engine, and not only is it using my engine, I allow them to scale to other places as well. So you can start to kind of get an idea of how beneficial this could be in terms of my legacy with my grandchildren and something that will be here when I'm long gone. Even if I sold it in 5 years and I had an exit plan, I will write it in a way to where as long as that company that I sold it to, or if they sold it to someone else, my family will get some type of residual increase as that market increased, whether it was 3% when I passed away, and then
Right.
let's say 4 years later, that number from 3% went to 6% or 8%, my family will still get that same revenue. And so that's the way I'm
Legacy.
structuring this actual AI Academy platform up to be. And I'm very, very happy about it and very thrilled that I'm in this position because I didn't have an epiphany to do it.
Goodness. Brother James, obviously we're bringing this to a close, and I don't want to because this is so good. But one thing that just keeps coming to my mind is the pivot that you made from healthcare IT to what you're doing now. A lot of people would say, well, I can imagine some people might have told you this in the past. Well, James, you've been here for a long time, man. You've been doing Epic for how long, man? Man, leave this AI stuff alone, man. Leave this, man. You going into to murky waters, man. This thing is, oh, it's a bubble. Everybody got some terminology for these different things. But the fact that you made not you didn't just gamble. You took a step out on faith, and I love how you didn't romanticize or mysticize the idea of the AI Academy. You didn't make it seem like the creator just you know set down sparkles or something like that on your head. The way it came to it's like had you had not gone through the things that you've gone through in the past and experienced what you've experienced, your perspective towards life and towards this opportunity would have never been there. So, safe to say, I would say it's safe to say that everything works out for your good.
Absolutely.
everything works out for your good in its own timing. Of course I'm paraphrasing, but everything works for your good. And I remember a old school bishop said, nothing we've gone through is wasted.
L-
Nothing that we've encountered in this life is wasted.
Let me share it this way. You are part of what you have met. I bring all of that with me. In other words, my past.
Yeah.
Um, it was a leap of faith because I retired from IT, and I will
Hmm.
take it a step further. To have the support of my loyal, dedicated, devoted wife, who knew that I was taking a leap, but at the same time, she knew to keep her mouth shut too. And I say that because the greatest decision a man is going to face is what God he's going to believe in, and the woman he's going to choose. And
I
she
believe that.
single-handedly could have killed my dream at that moment
Yeah.
if she would
Yeah.
have said, "You know what, fool? You sitting up and you finna give up this kind of job and you making X amount and da 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 and you gonna go over here in
Right.
this murky water and you gonna play this game." No, we need you to stay right there. That would have killed it.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
killed it because of the respect I have for her and the things that we have built together. I don't want her to ever feel like I'm leaving her out there to do something by herself. More importantly than that, I have friends who told me, and they tried to kill my dream, but keep in mind, this is key, and I want the audience to understand this. The revelation that God gives you, someone else might not see it, and it wasn't given to
Absolutely.
them. So you got to know how to be silent at times and not be
Yeah.
grandiose and boast about this
Hmm.
opportunity or this and that, because I had someone very, very close to me who said when he found out what I was doing, because he kind of understood lower level architecture as well when it come to build. Oh, Brother James, anybody could do that stuff now. And it hurt my feelings because I was so excited to
Yeah.
tell him I got it up. I started today. And
Yeah.
that was his first response. And he was the only one who said it to me. And I love this dude as a brother.
Yeah.
And so when he made that comment, I had to back away from him just for a short period of time. I'm going to ride it out with him the rest of my life. We've been riding now for this long. But I had to back away from him to remain safe. And I
Yes.
also understood that I can't share this with everybody because God didn't give it to everybody. God did not give this person revelation to do it this way versus having a vision, brother. And I may have told you this in the past. God can't bless you with the vision you have if you can't see it. Let me say it a different way. If you want to be blessed, you put God first, remain obedient to his word or whatever you say you believe in to the best that you can, and he will see you through. And he will provide the right people that he will put in your path to get you where you need to be, and you have to trust that. And it's at his speed. If I would have
Yes.
did this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know where I would be because
Mhm.
my mind was just a little different. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
Perspective,
understood things,
everything.
and someone like me who come from a diverse past where I grew up very humble beginnings, mama owned a county, um, but the love that was in the house was there. It's just that for me to think or to vision this kind of thought or to have this vision, just unmatched in terms of our Heavenly Father and what He would bless us with if we could see it for ourselves.
Hmm.
And so that would be what I would tell you at that point. And with that, I yield as well.
Brother James, thank you so very much for being here, brother. For those who are listening, those who are watching this episode, and they're excited, they're enthused, they want to support all your endeavors, the AI school, everything. How can they reach you? Where can you be reached? Where can you be contacted? What information do you have where people can find you?
So you could find me on LinkedIn. You could find
Mhm,
me on Facebook. I'm very easy to find. I'm also going to have you, brother, make
mhm.
sure you leave some of my advertisement that you may have seen. I'm going to send you some things. That way they could reach me directly. I
Okay,
know
absolutely.
if you want to go and you just want to put it in your browser, you could go at info at bjsupremeservices.com. So that's info, info at B as in boy, J as in John, Supreme, which starts with SUPREMESERVICES.com. Info at BJ Supreme Services. It will pull up my website and you could request a demo. But you're gonna have all this stuff
Yes.
in the chat. I'm sure Brother Donslow will put it there, and I'm going to send him the literature. He have seen it himself previously, but I'm easily you could find me easily on, let's say, if that's a word. You could find me on LinkedIn. How about that? You could
Let's
find me on
do
Facebook and any
it.
social media. And so, with that being said, I just want to say once again, it has been my distinct honor, privilege, and joy to sit with you. We have some other things to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we
Yes,
will
I
talk
do.
about those. I just need a little bit of ink to dry, but I intend
For sure.
to have a large collaboration with you. And I know this show is going to be very successful as well. And
Thank you
good
so
luck
very
to
much.
everything you do. And keep God first, brother, and the sky's the limit.
Always, 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 always. Fami, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is your partner in purpose, D Brown. It has been my honor and privilege to be able to share this podcast with my dear friend and brother. Again, if you have any questions, if you want to inquire about anything that you've seen today, please feel free to leave us a comment below this video, or if you're listening to this on any of the streaming platforms, please feel free to leave a comment. And again, this is your partner in purpose. Much love, peace, and much love.
Peace. God bless you all.